first contact gone wrong, the vast emptiness of the void sector stretched endlessly before the Zephyrian patrol fleet. Commander Thrix stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Claw, watching the scanner displays with practiced eyes. 3 smaller escort vessels flanked his position, their sleek forms cutting through space like predators hunting for prey. The Zephyrian Empire had claimed this sector for over 2 centuries, yet it remained largely unexplored due to its distance from major trade routes. Commander Thrix was a veteran of many campaigns, his blue-scaled skin bearing the ritual scars of a dozen victories. His people, the Zephyrians, had built their empire through conquest and cunning. They were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors who showed little mercy to those who opposed them. Today's patrol was supposed to be routine, a simple sweep, to ensure no unauthorized vessels had entered their territory. The bridge crew worked in silent efficiency, their movements precise and disciplined. Navigator Kess monitored the star charts, while Communications Officer Rax maintained scanning protocols. Weapons Specialist Jorah kept the ship's plasma cannons at ready status, as was standard procedure in unexplored space. The Zephyrians had learned long ago that the galaxy was full of dangers, and only the strong survived. A sharp beeping sound from the sensor array broke the silence. Scanner Technician Yoel looked up from his console with surprise written across his reptilian features. "Commander, I'm detecting a massive object at coordinates 74 Mark 6. It appears to be artificial." Thrix moved quickly to the scanning station, his clawed hands gripping the console edge. The display showed a large vessel, easily 3 times the size of his flagship. It drifted silently through space, appearing to have no active propulsion or power signatures. The ship's design was unlike anything in the Zephyrian databases, with angular surfaces and strange protrusions that seemed to serve no obvious purpose. "Analysis," Thrix commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to immediate obedience. Yoel worked frantically at his controls, gathering data from multiple sensor sweeps. The vessel measures approximately 2 kilometers in length. Hull composition appears to be an unknown metallic alloy. "I'm detecting significant battle damage along the port side, but the structure remains intact. No life signs detected, no active power sources." The discovery sent a ripple of excitement through the bridge crew. A derelict ship of this size could contain valuable technology or resources. In Zephyrian culture, salvage rights belonged to whoever found and claimed the vessel first. This could be the discovery that secured Thrix's promotion to admiral rank. "Bring us alongside," Thrix ordered. "Signal the escort vessels to maintain defensive perimeter. Prepare a boarding party." As the Stellar Claw approached the mysterious vessel, details became clearer through the viewports. The ship's hull was covered in strange markings that seemed to be both decorative and functional. Some sections showed signs of energy weapon damage, while others appeared to have been deliberately modified with additional armor plating. Despite its apparent age and damage, the vessel still radiated an aura of dangerous capability. Captain Vela, Thrix's most trusted officer, assembled a boarding team in the shuttle bay. She was younger than most senior officers, but her tactical skills had earned respect throughout the fleet. Her team consisted of 6 heavily armed soldiers and 2 technical specialists equipped to analyze unknown technology. "Remember," Thrix briefed them over the communication system, "this vessel appears abandoned, but maintain full combat readiness. Unknown technology can be unpredictable. Your primary objectives are to secure the ship, identify its origin, and catalog any valuable systems or cargo." The boarding shuttle launched smoothly from the Stellar Claw's bay, crossing the short distance to the derelict vessel. Vela piloted the craft personally, her experienced hands guiding them toward what appeared to be a shuttle bay or docking port. The opening was larger than standard Zephyrian designs, suggesting the ship's builders were either larger than average or designed their vessels for multiple species. Inside the alien vessel, the boarding party activated portable lighting systems. The corridors were wider than Zephyrian standards, with higher ceilings and strange architectural features. The walls were lined with panels covered in symbols that resembled no known language. Emergency lighting strips provided minimal illumination, indicating some power systems remained functional despite the ship's apparent deactivation. "The air is breathable," reported technical specialist Rix after checking his atmospheric scanner. "Oxygen-nitrogen mixture similar to most inhabited worlds. Temperature is slightly cool, but within acceptable ranges." Vela divided her team in two groups, sending one toward what appeared to be the ship's bridge, while she led the other toward the engineering sections. The corridors branched in logical patterns, but the scale of everything suggested this vessel had been designed by beings with significant technological capabilities. In the engineering section, they discovered machinery unlike anything in technology. The power cores were massive, built with precision that exceeded even their most advanced manufacturing capabilities. Strange conduits ran throughout the section, carrying unknown energies that registered on their scanners as completely foreign. "Captain," called Specialist Dex from across the engineering bay, "you need to see this." Vela approached his position near what appeared to be a main control console. The surface was covered with symbols and indicators, many of which were still faintly glowing. But what caught her attention was a small plaque mounted beside the console, bearing symbols that were clearly meant to be read. "Can you translate it?" she asked. Dex ran the symbols through his portable translation database, trying various linguistic patterns. After several minutes, he shook his head. "The language doesn't match anything in our records, but the symbols appear to be some form of designation or identification system." Meanwhile, the team exploring the bridge made an even more significant discovery. The command center was enormous, with multiple stations arranged in a logical hierarchy. The captain's chair sat at the center, surrounded by tactical displays and communication arrays. But scattered throughout the bridge were personal items that provided clues about the ship's former occupants. "Captain Vela," came the voice of team leader Cax over the communication system. "We found something important. There are personal belongings here that suggest the crew was humanoid, but not any species we recognize. And we've discovered what appears to be a ship's log system." Vela made her way quickly to the bridge, her curiosity overwhelming her caution. The scene that greeted her was both fascinating and unsettling. The bridge showed signs of having been abandoned in haste, with personal items scattered around various stations. On one console, she found a small, framed image showing several beings that appeared to be the ship's crew. The beings in the image were unlike any species in Zephyrian records. They appeared to be relatively small, with pale skin and strange facial features. Their clothing suggested an advanced civilization, but their expressions in the image conveyed warmth and camaraderie that seemed oddly familiar. "Have you accessed the log system?" Vela asked. QAX nodded toward a large display screen that showed rows of data in the unknown language. "We've managed to activate it, but the translation system can't process the language. However, we did discover something significant. This ship's designation appears to be US Prometheus, and based on the stellar cartography data, it came from a region of space that our maps show as empty. The implications were staggering. An unknown species with advanced technology originating from uncharted space. This discovery could change the balance of power in the galaxy if the Zephyrian Empire could claim the technology for themselves. Vela was about to order a more detailed search when alarms began sounding throughout the alien vessel. Emergency. Lighting activated, bathing the corridors in red illumination. The ship's systems were coming online automatically, responding to some unknown stimulus. "What did you touch?" Vela demanded, but her team members all denied activating anything across the ship. Systems that had been dormant for unknown lengths of time began powering up. The main computer core activated, accessing stored protocols and initiating emergency procedures. Most significantly, a deep space communication array extended from the ship's hull and began broadcasting a signal into the void. Back aboard the Stellar Claw, Commander Thrix watched with growing concern as the derelict vessel suddenly blazed with activity. Power signatures spiked across multiple systems, and his communications officer detected an outgoing transmission on frequencies his equipment could barely register. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Rax with barely controlled excitement, "the vessel is broadcasting some kind of distress beacon. The signal is incredibly powerful and appears to be directed toward the galactic rim." Thrix felt a chill run down his spine. If this unknown species had allies or reinforcements in that region, the situation could become dangerous very quickly. He had claimed salvage rights to the vessel, but if its original owners arrived to reclaim it, the Zephyrian patrol fleet would be vastly outnumbered. "Recall the boarding party immediately," he ordered. "Prepare for emergency departure." But before Vela and her team could return to their shuttle, scanner technician Yul's voice cut through the bridge with raw panic. "Commander, multiple contacts approaching at impossible speeds. Energy signatures are off the scale." The main view screen shifted to show the tactical display, and what Thrix saw defied all his military experience. 12 massive vessels were approaching their position, moving faster than anything in Zephyrian technology could achieve. The ships appeared from seemingly empty space, as if they had been hiding just beyond sensor range. As the unknown fleet drew closer, their designs became visible. They shared architectural similarities with the derelict vessel, but these ships were clearly active warships. Their hulls bristled with weapon systems that dwarfed anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. Each vessel was larger than Thrix's entire patrol fleet combined. The lead ship opened a communication channel, and a voice spoke in perfect Zephyrian standard. Language, the speaker's accent, was unfamiliar, but the words were clear and professionally delivered. "Zephyrian vessels, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth Command Fleet Operations. You have activated an emergency beacon aboard one of our ships. Explain your presence immediately." The bridge of the Stellar Claw fell silent as the implications hit home. Earth Command was a name that appeared in classified intelligence reports as rumors and speculation. Some believed it was a myth. Others suggested it might be a confederation of pirate fleets using advanced technology. But no one in the Zephyrian military had ever confirmed its existence. Now, faced with overwhelming firepower and ships that appeared to operate beyond known physical laws, Commander Thrix realized that Earth Command was not only real, but had been watching them all along. The derelict vessel had not been abandoned at all. It had been a trap, or perhaps a test. As the human fleet settled into perfect attack formation around the Zephyrian patrol ships, Thrix understood that his empire's understanding of galactic politics was about to change forever. The humans had revealed themselves, and there would be no going back to the old ways. The galaxy had just become a much more dangerous place, and the Zephyrian Empire was no longer the apex predator they believed themselves to be. Earth Command had announced its presence, and the implications would echo throughout known space for generations to come. When legends become reality, Commander Thrix stared at the tactical display, his mind struggling to process the impossible situation unfolding. Before him, the 12 human warships maintained perfect formation around his patrol fleet, their weapons powered but not yet targeting his vessels. The precision of their positioning spoke of military discipline that exceeded even Zephyrian standards. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice cut through the tense silence on the bridge. Commander Thrix of the Zephyrian vessel Stellar Claw, you will respond to our inquiry. Why did you board the UES Prometheus without authorization? The fact that the human admiral knew his name and ship designation sent another chill through Thrix's scaled hide. These humans had been watching, gathering intelligence, preparing for this moment. But how long had they been observing Zephyrian operations? This is Commander Thrix of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy, he replied, trying to maintain the authority his rank demanded. The vessel appeared to be derelict in Zephyrian space. We were conducting lawful salvage operations according to galactic maritime law. A pause followed his response, and Thrix could almost sense the human admiral's amusement. When Admiral Chen spoke again, her tone carried the weight of someone delivering uncomfortable truths. Commander, the Prometheus has been conducting a deep space research mission in this sector for the past 8 months. Her crew placed the ship in minimal power mode to conduct long-term observations. Your boarding party activated emergency protocols, designed to summon assistance if the ship was compromised. The implications hit Thrix like a physical blow. The vessel had not been abandoned at all. His boarding party had essentially committed an act of piracy against an active research vessel. But more disturbing was the revelation that humans had been operating in Zephyrian space for months without detection. Furthermore, Admiral Chen continued, this sector was designated as neutral research space under the Corvinine Accords of 2387. Your territorial claims are not recognized by the Galactic Council or Earth Command. Navigator Kess looked up from his console with confusion written across his features. Sir, I have no record of the Corvinian Accords in our legal databases. Thrix felt the situation spiraling beyond his control. If these humans possessed legal documents that superseded Zephyrian territorial claims, his empire's expansion into this sector could be challenged through diplomatic channels. But the immediate concern was the overwhelming military force surrounding his ships. Admiral Chen, Thrix said carefully, the Zephyrian Empire has maintained control of this sector for over 2 centuries. We have established colonies and mining operations throughout the region. Surely there can be some diplomatic resolution. To this misunderstanding, the human admiral's response came with mathematical precision. Commander Earth Command has detailed records of this sector dating back 437 years. Our deep space monitoring stations have tracked all colonization efforts and commercial activities. We are fully aware of Zephyrian operations in the region. The bridge crew exchanged glances of growing alarm. 437 years. The Zephyrian Empire was barely 300 years old. These humans claimed to have been a spacefaring civilization since before the Zephyrians had developed faster-than-light travel. Scanner technician Yul's voice cracked as he reported new sensor readings. Commander, I'm detecting additional human vessels at extreme range. The signatures suggest at least 50 more ships maintaining position beyond our scanner limits. The tactical situation was becoming clearer and more hopeless by the moment. The Zephyrian patrol fleet was not facing a small human force that had stumbled upon them. They were confronting a massive military operation that had been planned and positioned with surgical precision. Captain Vila's voice crackled over the communication system from aboard the Prometheus. "Commander, the ship's systems are fully active now. The crew quarters show signs of recent habitation. This vessel was definitely not abandoned. We may have walked into a trap." Admiral Chen seemed to hear this exchange, despite it being on a supposedly secure Zephyrian frequency. "Captain Vela, you and your boarding party are not in danger. However, you will remain aboard the Prometheus until this situation is resolved. Our crew will guide you to appropriate quarters." The casual mention of monitoring their secure communications sent another wave of fear through the Zephyrian officers. These humans possessed electronic warfare capabilities that rendered their military protocols useless. They were operating at a technological level that made Zephyrian defenses appear primitive. "Commander Thrix," Admiral Chen continued, "I believe it would be beneficial for us to meet face to face. You are welcome aboard the UCS Terra Nova to discuss this situation properly. I assure you that no harm will come to you or your officers." The invitation was clearly not optional. Thrix understood that refusing would likely result in his patrol fleet being destroyed or captured. But accepting meant acknowledging that these humans held complete authority over the situation. "I will transport aboard your vessel," Thrix replied, "but I demand assurances for the safety of my crew and ships. Your vessels will not be harmed as long as they maintain their current positions and make no aggressive moves. Your crew will be treated according to the standards of the Galactic Conventions on Military Conduct," another reference to galactic laws that seemed to exist beyond Zephyrian knowledge. Thrix was beginning to understand that his empire's isolation from broader galactic politics had left them vulnerable to forces they never knew existed. The transport to the human flagship was unlike anything in Zephyrian technology. Instead of using shuttlecraft, the humans employed some form of matter transfer system that transported Thrix directly from his bridge to the human vessel's conference room. The sensation was disorienting, but completely painless. Admiral Sarah Chen was waiting for him in a spacious chamber that served as both meeting room and tactical center. She was smaller than most Zephyrian officers, but her presence filled the room with quiet authority. Her uniform bore insignia that suggested high rank, but more importantly, she carried herself with the confidence of someone accustomed to absolute. "Commander Thrix," she said, gesturing to a chair that had been adjusted for his larger frame. "Thank you for accepting my invitation. I believe we have much to discuss." As Thrix settled into the provided seating, he noticed that the conference room's displays showed detailed information about Zephyrian military capabilities, territorial claims, and political structure. The humans possessed intelligence data that exceeded anything in his own files. "How long have you been watching us?" he asked directly. Admiral Chen smiled with what might have been approval for his directness. "Earth Command has maintained observation posts throughout this galactic region for over 3 centuries. We have detailed records of every species, every political development, and every technological advancement. The Zephyrian Empire has been under observation since your first ventures into deep space." The revelation staggered Thrix. Everything his people believed about their place in the galaxy was based on incomplete information. They had expanded their empire, believing themselves to be the dominant military power in their region, never knowing that an advanced human civilization had been watching their every move. Why reveal yourselves now? Thrix asked. Because the galactic political situation is changing, Admiral Chen replied. Several species are developing technologies that could threaten interstellar stability. The Korvax Collective is experimenting with planet-killer weapons. The Threnody Empire is attempting to develop time manipulation technology. The Zephyrian Empire's expansion has brought you into contact with forces you are not prepared to handle. Admiral Chen activated a holographic display that showed the local galactic region. Dozens of species territories were marked in different colors, but what caught Thrix's attention were large areas marked in blue that seemed to surround and interpenetrate all the other territorial claims. Earth Command maintains peacekeeping operations throughout known space, Admiral Chen explained. We intervene only when necessary to prevent conflicts that could destabilize entire sectors. Your encounter with the Prometheus has accelerated our timeline for formal contact with the Zephyrian Empire. The implications were staggering. The humans were not just another species competing for territory and resources. They were positioning themselves as galactic peacekeepers with the military capability to enforce their decisions. The Zephyrian Empire's expansion plans would now have to account for human oversight and intervention. What do you want from us? Thrix asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Earth Command is prepared to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Zephyrian Empire, Admiral Chen replied. We will recognize your territorial claims and existing colonies. But future expansion must be coordinated through proper diplomatic channels. In exchange, we offer technological cooperation, trade agreements, and protection from external threats. The offer was generous, perhaps too generous. Thrix's military training warned him that deals that seemed favorable usually contained hidden costs. But the alternative was clear from the overwhelming force surrounding his patrol fleet. And if we refuse? Admiral Chen's expression remained neutral, but her words carried unmistakable authority. The Galactic Council will receive a full report of today's incident, including documentation of unauthorized boarding of a research vessel in neutral space. The Zephyrian Empire's reputation in galactic politics would be severely damaged. Additionally, any future Zephyrian expansion would face active resistance from Earth Command forces. The choice was no choice at all. The Zephyrian Empire could accept human oversight and cooperation, or face isolation and eventual decline as other species formed alliances with this advanced civilization. I do not have authority to negotiate such agreements, Thrix said. These decisions must be made by the Imperial Council. Of course, Admiral Chen agreed. You will return to Zephyria Prime with a formal diplomatic proposal and full documentation of Earth Command's capabilities. Your government will have 30 standard days to provide a response. As if to emphasize the point, the conference rooms displays shifted to show tactical analyses of major Zephyrian military installations. The humans possessed detailed intelligence about fleet compositions, defense capabilities, and strategic resources. They could cripple the Zephyrian Empire's military capacity without significant effort. Commander Admiral Chen continued, I want you to understand that Earth Command does not seek conquest or domination. We have the capability to impose our will throughout this region, but we prefer cooperative relationships. The choice belongs to your people. The transport back to the Stellar Claw gave Thrix time to process the magnitude of what he had learned. The galaxy was far more complex and dangerous than the Zephyrian Empire had imagined. Humanity represented a force that could reshape interstellar politics with a single decision. As his patrol fleet prepared to depart, escorted by human vessels, to the edge of Zephyrian space. Thrix understood that he was carrying news that would transform his civilization forever. The age of Zephyrian expansion and dominance was ending, replaced by a new era where humanity held the balance of power. The return journey to Zephyria Prime would give him time to prepare his report, but no amount of preparation could soften the impact of the truth. The Zephyrian Empire was no longer alone in the galaxy, and their new neighbors possessed the power to end their civilization or elevate it to unprecedented heights. The choice would determine the future of his people for generations to come, and Commander Thrix carried that terrible responsibility in his scaled hands as the human fleet faded into the darkness behind them.